Hello everyone, so I'm your anonymous teacher and this is a tutorial of how to play chess, beginner's guide. Without wasting any further time, let's get started. I'm using the chess.com currently. This is how a chessboard looks like. A chessboard consists of 64 squares. 8 vertical rows are called files and 8 horizontal columns are called ranks. For each square in a row, a alphabet is assigned that are from A to Z, and for each column a number is assigned. These things helps to call the pieces by their specific positions. For example, we can say I played this knight to G3. Now you might be wondering what is a knight. Don't worry, I am going to tell you about entire chess basics. Chess is a two-players game. One is called white and another one black. There's nothing much difficult to learn how to play it, but when it comes to be good at chess it takes much practice and understanding of patterns. The frontmost pieces are called pawns. They have a great role in the game. It has two special moves. First one is promotion and the other is in peasant. We will discuss in peasant later in this video. Firstly, we will know how does promotion works.
You must trade your pawn for another piece. It can be a knight, a bishop, a rook, or the powerful queen. It cannot stay a pawn, and it cannot become a king. Also, it does not have to be one of the pieces already captured in the game. Every pawn has the potential to be promoted into a queen. You could trade it for another queen and have two queens on the board, which is incredibly powerful.
Other pieces are rook, knight, bishop, queen. Each player has 2 knights, 2 rooks, 2 bishops, 1 king and queen, and 8 pawns. Now we know the pieces, let's talk about how does the game works. Here white plays first. It may seem like racism, but that's how the game is. Let's see how the pieces move.
The rook is the second most powerful piece. It can move up, down, and to the sides as far as it wants, but the rook can only move in straight lines. Like the other pieces we've looked at so far, the rook also can't jump over any other piece. Let's take a look at some rook moves. In this position, the rook could move straight up, it could slide to the corner, it could move all the way down the board, now it could swing to the other side, or it could make some shorter moves, like here and here. The knight is perhaps the most fun piece in chess. It is the only piece in chess that does not move in some sort of straight line. It moves in a strange L shape. The other interesting thing about the knight is it's the only piece in chess that can jump over other pieces, like this. It takes a little practice to understand exactly how the knight moves. It goes 2 squares in one direction and then 1 square to the side, like this. Highlighted are all the possible squares the knight can move to on the next turn. Notice it always moves in the same pattern. The bishop is one of the most interesting pieces in chess because it can move as far as it wants, but only on diagonals. The bishop, just like the other pieces that we've met so far, cannot jump over other pieces. This means that the bishop has to stay on the same colored square it starts the game on for the entire game. In chess, you get 2 bishops. This bishop is called the light-squared bishop because it can only travel on the light squares. Meet the other bishop that you have in the game, the dark-squared bishop. It moves exactly like the light-squared bishop, but only on the dark-squared diagonals. Now that you've met both bishops, let's take a look at how they move. With just one move, the dark-squared bishop can enter the longest dark-squared diagonal on the board. Let's do the same with the light-squared bishop. Now, notice no matter how many bishop moves we make, the bishops never cross paths. They never block each other. And the reason why is because they're on opposite colored squares, so they never interfere with each other. They make a good team. The king might be the most important piece in chess, but the queen is by far the most powerful. Like the king, the queen can move in any direction, forward, backward, to the sides, as well as diagonally. Unlike the king, the queen can move as far as she wants in any direction. The one thing the queen can't do is jump over other pieces. Let's look at some queen moves. In this position, the queen could go all the way up the diagonal. She could slide all the way across the board. She could now move all the way down here. Or she could make some shorter moves, like here, here, and here's another queen move. unusual rules of chess is called castling. This move was invented to speed up the game and do two things at once. When you castle, your king moves toward the safety of the corner and your rook comes toward the action in the middle. You literally are moving two pieces at once, but it counts as just one move. You can castle in either direction, left or right. In either case, your king moves over only two squares, and then the rook from that side is moved directly to the other side of the king, like this. And here's another example of castling. Castling is a great move with many benefits if it is used at the right time. However, there are a few conditions that may prevent you from castling. First off, you cannot castle when you are in check. You must first deal with the check before trying to castle. Secondly, you cannot castle if your king would castle through a check, or after castling, your king would land into a check. Next, you cannot castle if there are any pieces in between your king and your rook. It must be completely empty. In this position, both white and black have to move one piece before they're able to castle. In chess is called en passant, which is French for in passing. This rule was introduced at the same time that pawns were allowed to move forward two squares on their first move. When that happened, sometimes pawns would move past other pawns without giving the other pawn an opportunity to capture, which didn't seem fair. So, en passant was invented. Pay attention. It's tricky. If your opponent's pawn moves forward two squares, which it can only do if it is that pawn's first move, and it lands directly next to one of your pawns, then on your next turn, and that turn only, you have the opportunity to capture that pawn as if it had only moved one square, like this.
I hope you all understood it very well. Thanks for watching.